Welcome to this Getting Started tutorial for the Norand mono. This is operating under firmware 1.1.1. Let's switch on. At first glance, it's a standard 2 oscillator analog synth, variable waveform from sine to triangle, square to saw, FM, sync, detune, little mixer, state variable filter from bandpass, low pass, high pass, very vicious resonance, envelope amount, negative and positive, ADSR, volume. All these can be modulated by the X mod section, and likewise almost everything, not the ADSR, can have its own separate envelope from the X envelope area. This is the area of deep weirdness here. That'll be our second tutorial. There's plenty to keep us going though. Little mini keyboard here. Basic controls to get into pattern mode, to run, to select the tempo, and the important function knob here. You notice this writing in, well, it's orange. We'll call it red, so the red function button activates whatever's written in red. Press the pattern button to get into pattern mode. 16 patterns, 4 banks. Patterns which have something in it are lit, patterns which are empty are unlit, and the pattern that you're currently on is blinking. Let's go to bank B. Let's go to empty pattern 4. We can press run from here, but we're not going to see the playhead because we're still in pattern select mode. Now we're in edit mode, we see the playhead. Now there's lots of different ways that we could enter information here. We could play it on the mini keys, we could use an external keyboard, we could do 101 style sequencer entry where it advances to the next step, but we'll do it the familiar way, just using a little keypad. Now to change the pitch, hold a step, and we can use the little keypad here to select notes. You can also use the up down buttons here to change octaves. Hold the step, down, down, up, down. And of course, just like a normal synthesizer, we can change the synth controls. Change the waveforms, give it a little bit of detune. Now, let's say that we think that's wonderful and we want to save it. Well, it's a function command, function save. You see save written over here, so press and hold function, press save. See the light advance up telling us it is saving, and it's saved. But what it has saved is not just that pattern, which, as you remember, was in bank B, pattern 4. It has saved everything in this project, so everything in bank A that we might have tweaked or added, extra patterns we might have written, anything in any of these banks, that's what gets saved when you go function save, the entire project. Now, what is a project? Well, function load is how we get into projects. You see there's 2 banks, A and B. There's 16 in each bank, so that is 32 projects. So 32 projects, each project can contain 64 patterns, so that's more than 2,000 patterns, should be plenty. Now we could load a different project if we wanted. Function load project 2, for example. Go into pattern, and we can see all the patterns that are in this project. Now, the reason why I'm going on about projects, and it may seem a bit dull perhaps when there's lots of tweaking and twiddling to do, but projects are absolutely fundamental to how this operates, and the saving of projects has rather important ramifications on how you use the machine, as we shall shortly see. But let's go back to project 1. So project or function load. We've loaded project 1 again. Bank B. There's our old pattern. So I've said that there's great ramifications in the fact that going function save saves everything in the project, and we will see that now. So here's our pattern. Let's make some changes to it. Now let's say we like that and we want to copy it. Back into pattern mode, function copy 4, function paste to 5. So now pattern 4, pattern 5. Well, they're the same because we tweaked 4 and the tweaked version we put into 5. Now this is where the save project function has its consequences. If at this point we said, well, yes, we like that tweaked version, we'll save that, and we go function save, well, what are we saving? We're saving the tweaked version of 5, but hang on, version 4 is also exactly the same, because all we did was tweak 4 and copy it into 5, so these are exactly the same. Now, if you could save a pattern by itself, you would just save 5, and any of the changes you'd made in 4 would be abandoned because it would revert to the saved copy. But that doesn't happen here, because when you go function save, it saves every pattern in the project. So, what to do? Well, we could go function load, reload that first project. Now we've lost pattern 5 and we've lost our tweaks we did because it's reverted to the original saved version. So what to do when you want to just fiddle with things and do little tweaks? Well, you could say, I want to do some changes potentially on pattern 4. I'll copy pattern 4, I'll paste it to pattern 5, then go into pattern 5. Now I'll play with it and maybe I'll come up with something good. On the other hand, maybe you don't come up with something good and now you've got 2 copies of a pattern when all you really wanted to do was to tweak pattern 4 and see whether you came up with something good. Now, what to do in this situation? Luckily, there's another mode you can be in. That's called live mode. To get into live mode, we go pattern run record. You'll see record is now blinking, and this is live mode. Just turn it on and off, toggle like that. It's volatile, it's not saved between sessions, so every time you want it, you've got to switch it on. We're in pattern 5. This time we make our changes. We go, yes, that's exactly what I want. I'll copy that. Function copy 5. Function paste to 6. So now we've got a copy of it in 6. Because we're in live mode, when we go back to 5, we get the saved version. So that's what live mode does for you. You can make whatever changes you like in a pattern, but whenever you come back to it, you come back to whatever the saved version is. You just got to remember that light needs to be blinking. Now, one more thing while we're here. Tempo. It defaults as 120. Maybe you want something a bit different. Here's the tempo button. You can use it as a tap tempo. You need to tap it at least 4 times. slow, as you can see. The other way to do tempo, because chances are you might want to input a very precise tempo in BPM, so hold down tempo. The numbers here from 1 to 10, 10 being a 0, can be used to enter the tempo you want. So 130, 1, 3, 0. Hold down tempo, let's say 90, 9, 0. Now, when you're entering tempo as a precise BPM, you've got to be in edit mode, not in pattern mode. If you're in pattern mode, hold down tempo and say 120, it thinks you're trying to select patterns. Not going to work. Now, so far, that's all pretty standard stuff. It operates like a normal synth. You tweak the knobs like a normal synth, enter the steps, change the tempo. Saving's a little bit different, but no great amazements there. So I say this is the great weirdness section, but we'll get to that in the next tutorial. However, there is still a great deal of interesting tweaking to be done even without this, and that is in parameter offsets. Now, in parameter offsets, every step of a pattern can have its own value for any of these controls. So let's have a look at that. So let's say step 1, we'll make that a long decay. We'll give some more resonance. Take a bit of filter back. Make sure they're both sawtooths. Make sure the mix is up on both of them. Maybe take that down. Next step here, let's say different wave state, detune it a bit. FM, change the mix, make it high pass, over here, more filter here, less there, more here, less there. No resonance on that one, but we'll bump up the volume. So, different offset values on any of those controls, different for every step. Now let's say we like that, we'll save that project, function save. One other thing might be nice to switch on here is a visualization by the lights on the knobs of what we've changed. To turn on visualization mode, you triple click the function button. So look at the lights here. It's showing what we've tweaked per step. So that's a nice little feature as well. Again though, it's volatile, so when you power cycle, you'll lose visualization mode. So if you like those things, when you boot up, pattern run record, just switch on live mode and triple click the function button to switch on visualization mode. But still we're not quite done. This was pattern 5, it's blinking. Function copy 5, function paste, we'll put it up into 8. Select pattern 8. So there's those changes we just made. Now I called them parameter offsets because whatever we did there per step changing the knobs was offset from what was the original base saved pattern. Consequence of that is, if we now, instead of changing values per step, we just change these knobs as part of the base pattern, we'll get another interesting variation and we'll see how the offsets affect it. Now remember, we change the filter up and down on some of these, so now we get an interesting variation, because this, which more or less acts like a master filter over the whole thing, is now interacting with the offsets the extras and the negatives on these different steps where we change the filter, and of course that goes for any of these controls. Next time, Xmod and X envelopes. Until then, see ya.